Today, I'm playing on one of the biggest stages in poker.
342,000. 420,000. The biggest pot in Lodge Livestream history. $707,800.
I play the biggest pot of my entire life.
They're going to rip it one time. Sam Queso.
But that was just the beginning of the absolute sun run.
There's the heart. How hot is Sam Queso? And Sam Queso is getting everything he wants today. This is a session for the ages for him.
I'm about to show you guys how I won $30,000 on the Lodge Livestream.
All right, boys. We're in Austin, Texas today. Here's an update on the Bankroll Challenge. We're just under $5,000. And we're about to put it all at risk, potentially. Because in 2 hours, I'm playing on the Lodge Livestream. It's a 5-10, 2K max bind, but then it's master stack. So I'm taking $8,000 with me. $4,000 is not mine. I sold half my action, but the other $4,000 is mine. Now, hopefully, I don't have to use this all, but if it comes down to it, I will. Not gonna lie to you guys, I'm a little nervous. I'm absolutely just kidding. I'm him. You think I'm nervous? Shut your mouth, stay locked in, let's get it.
As soon as I arrive, I take my $8,000 to the cage and exchange it for some chips.
I do 4 in black, 1 in green, and then 3 yellow. Appreciate it, brother. Thank you.
Then me and Nick head back to the private stream room. I have $8,000 worth of chips with me, but everyone starts with $2,000. I win $50 playing rock, paper, scissors before the stream even starts. That's how I knew I was gonna run hot. Before I know it, it's game time.
From the Lodge Mahal in beautiful Austin, Texas, welcome to a very special Thursday show.
I recognize 4 players at the table. Andrew Neeme, ontilt Nick obviously, Mr. Dr. Batman, and Cinnabon. The other 3 players are complete strangers to me. I have no time to settle in because in my third hand being dealt, I look down at 6-7 of diamonds, open to 75. Mr. Dr. Batman calls on the button. It folds over to Pierre in the straddle, and he calls as well. 3 ways to a flop. Becomes decent, you could say. It's 2-8-4 all diamonds. We flop a flush with a gut shot to a straight flush. Pierre checks. I see bet for 100. Dr. Batman calls on the button, and Pierre folds. Now we're heads up. Dealer, keep it clean. The turn is a 6 of spades. I think Dr. Batman just has a high diamond card here 9 times out of 10. He's going to have to pay if he wants to see a river. I overbet the pot for $500. Dr. Batman isn't deterred at all by this bet. He pretty quickly calls. We're off to a river, and I'm just praying for no diamond. Unless it's a 5 of diamonds, I'm cool with that. The river is the jack of hearts. I have just under a pot-sized bet left in my stack. I think there's only one move here. I go all in.
And a quick fold from Mr. Dr. Batman.
In hindsight, I probably should have checked to give him a chance to bluff, but hindsight's always 20/20. We're still taking down nearly $800 of profit this hand.
My last name is Casada.
Tournament.
So it's either quesadilla or queso. I went with queso.
I like that. I like cheese.
Everybody loves cheese, right?
After explaining to the table why I went with the name Sam Queso, it's time to show them why they call me Sam Queso. I'm just kidding, that's super cringy. Anyways, Andrew Neeme opens to 75 from under the gun. It folds back to me in the straddle. I look down at ace-queen. I would typically 3-bet here, but I decided to play it tricky and just call. The flop comes 10-jack-8 with 2 clubs. I have a double gutter with a backdoor nut flush draw. I start out with a check. Neeme c-bets for $75. This feels like a perfect spot to put in a check raise. I make it 300. Neeme basically snap folds his 7-deuce, so he was trying to get me on the highlight reel, but not today, brother. This hand wasn't that big by any means, but when you beat one of the goats in a hand, you gotta include it. 20 minutes later, I pick up Jack-8 of hearts and the low jack, open to 75. Mr. Kipling, Cinnabon, Nick, and Pierre all call, so we're 5 ways to a flop. It comes queen 4-5 with 2 hearts. We flop a flush draw. Action checks to me. With so many players in the hand, I decide to check. Mr. Kipling checks in the cutoff, so we're still 5 ways to a turn, and it's another 4. Action checks to Pierre. He bets $100. I just call. Everyone else folds, so now we're heads up to a river, and the river is beautiful. It's the deuce of hearts. We make our flush. Pierre doesn't slow down. He bets $175. Now, I think he either has a queen or a 4. So the question is, how big of a raise will he call? If he has a queen, he probably won't call a big raise. But if he has a 4, he should call a fairly large raise. I make it 700. Pierre snap calls. I show the flush. He gives us the good old head nod and mucks his top pair, and we're taking down over $1,000 of profit this hand. We've been playing for an hour now, and I'm up nearly $2,000. The crazy thing is, those were the smallest pots of the session. This next hand is the biggest pot of the session and of my life. The $100 straddle is on in this hand. Nick opens to 250 from the cutoff. The button and the small blind both call. Then we look down at pocket aces. There's already close to $1,000 in the pot, and I haven't even acted yet. This is every poker player's dream.
The one with the yellow?
I 3-bet to 1,000. Dr. Batman calls in the $100 straddle. Before they can even change the camera angle to Nick, he goes all in for $6,800. Then the small blind calls for his remaining $2,700. I have never made a call faster in my life. I literally called in less than 1/10 of a second. But then Dr. Batman calls. So it's a 4-way all-in for a $16,000 pot. My heart is about to beat out of my chest.
Sam Queso looks a little nervous.
Sam Queso.
Nervous.
It's great to get it all in with aces, obviously, but we only have a 52% chance to win the hand, which means almost half the time, we're going to lose. We're ripping it once.
They're going to rip it one time.
The flop comes all spades. We have the ace of spades in our hand, but Dr. Batman has an open-ended straight draw, and High has a pair of 10s. We need to fade all the 7s, 10s, and queens that aren't spades. The turn is another spade. I'm hyped. I'm thinking I just won the biggest pot of my life.
There's the flush.
Come on, no. Pair the board.
The case king on the turn.
But I forgot that Nick has pocket kings. If the board pairs on the river, we lose. I'm literally praying to God that the board doesn't pair just this one time. Dealer, please don't do me like this. The river comes. A 6 of diamonds. Let's go. My heart rate is at 450 beats per minute right now. My hands are literally shaking. I just made over $10,000 in one hand. Now, I did make one mistake at the end of this hand. Like a rookie, I told everyone at the table that that was the biggest hand of my life.
That's the biggest pot you ever won?
Yep.
Wow, just got worse. Sam Queso's biggest pot he ever won.
Before that, it was like 3,500.
Oh, I can't you had to think about it, so I knew that wasn't true. You had to think about it.
In a game like this, you can't give out that kind of information because the really good players will put you to the test if they know you're not used to playing with that kind of money.
Yeah, he's going to put max pressure on Sammy the whole way.
Sammy made a comment earlier that, just like Corey did, he said, you know, that was the largest pot I ever played. With these guys around this table, you may not want to say stuff like that.
Exactly.
After that hand, I'm up almost $13,000. And then this hand happens. Cinnabon raises from the cutoff to 150. High calls in the small blind, and I look down at ace-3 of hearts. I could 3-bet here, but I decided to just call and see a flop. This brings in Neeme and Mr. Kipling. We're 5 ways to a flop, and we flop the nut flush draw. Cinnabon checks. High bets $300. Once again, I could raise, but I just call. Neeme folds, and it's on Mr. Kipling. He does not call. He raises to $1,500. That's a whole buy-in for a 2-5 game for me. Cinnabon folds, and it's on High. He calls. I'm getting a really good price to chase my flush. There's no way I'm folding. I call as well. The turn is a beauty.
There's the heart. How hot is Sam Queso?
We have the absolute nuts, and the pot's already over $5,000. High checks. I consider betting, but I don't want to scare anyone off while I have the nuts. I check. Sadly, Mr. Kipling checks as well. No worries, there's still one more street of betting left. All we need is a clean river, and we're guaranteed to win this already $5,000 pot. The river is clean. High checks again. Now we have to go for some value. I bet just over half pot for $23.50. Mr. Kipling folds his 2 pair, and as y'all can see, High has a straight. He's in the tank. He counts out the $23.50 in chips, and then he calls. We win a nearly $10,000 pot, and we're up piles of money. And by piles, I mean 21,000. I'm in disbelief right now. But wait, there's more. 4 hands later, we pick up pocket aces again. High opens to 75. I 3-bet to 325. Crypto Max, Nick, and High all call. I did not want 3 other players in this hand, but here we go. The flop is dry as death. Action checks to me. Being in the middle of so many players, I think I should be checking here a lot. That's what I do. Crypto Max checks on the button. We're still 4 ways to a turn. It's the 8 of clubs. Now Nick decides to lead out for 200. High folds, and I just call, hoping Nick will blast off on the river. Crypto Max calls as well. The river is just wow. It's the ace of diamonds, giving us top set and the nuts. This time, Nick checks. It takes a few seconds for it to register that I actually have the best possible hand on this board. Now it's time to bet for some value. I put out 1 yellow chip, which is worth $1,000. Crypto Max folds, and it's on Nick. He gives me that look, that I'm about to rip it in your face look. I have the nuts. I have never stared so hard at a table in my life. I'm just doing my best not to give off any tells. Nick, just donate your Rolex to me, brother. After tanking for almost a full minute, Nick decides to fold. That would have been insane if he would have jammed. I would have felt kind of bad because Nick's been running bad all session and he's down like 15K, but obviously would have snap called had he jammed. At this point, I'm just in disbelief with how hot I'm running right now. And we still have another 2 hours left of the stream. I'm not even exaggerating. 10 minutes later, we get involved in another huge pot. The $50 straddle is on and Nick limps. High makes it $250 on the button. I'm in the small blind and look down at ace queen. This is a great spot to 3-bet. But if you've watched any of my videos, you know I tend to torch money with ace queen by overplaying it. So I've been trying this new strategy where I just flat with ace queen. And that's what I do here. Andrew Neeme calls in the big blind. It folds over to Nick, and he calls as well. There's already over $1,000 in the middle, and we haven't even seen a flop yet. The flop comes ace high. We have a super disguised top pair. I check. Action checks all the way to high on the button. He bets $300. With multiple players in the hand and plenty of draws on the board, a raise is probably the best option here. But I'm running hot, so I'm going to play it risky. I just call. I'm planning to check raise on any turn if it's a brick. Neeme folds and Nick calls. 3 ways to a turn, and it's a brick. Sticking to the plan, I check. Nick checks, and so does High. So we don't get a chance to raise here on the turn. We're off to a river. I'm just hoping for one more brick. Or a queen will do. We river 2 pair. Someone has to bet now. I check, hoping someone will take the bait. Nick takes the entire tub of bait and devours it. He bets $2,500. Okay, I was not expecting that large of a bet. It's super polarizing. But you know what else I wasn't expecting? For High to call. What is going on? I think me and High might have the same hand.
Oh my gosh, there's more than that now.
Yeah, but I don't think
like we have the same hand.
But he's not the player I'm worried about. The player I'm worried about is Nick. He could have pocket 4s, pocket 2s, king 10, and yes, he could have 3-5. He would play that garbage. Now I've completely under-repped my hand. After tanking for what felt like 3 hours, I finally make my decision.
Yeah, 100%.
Makes the call, of course. Of course. And Sam Queso is getting everything he wants today. Session for the ages for him.
I have 2 pairs.
He is on fire. and fuego.
In the span of 20 minutes, we win 2 nearly $10,000 pots. This session literally couldn't be going any better. Now, we really haven't been put in any crazy tough spots, but that's about to change. We've been playing for almost 4 hours now. Now, I was told the stream was only going to last 4 to 4.5 hours. So in my head, all I need to do is just not get stacked in the next 30 minutes, and I'm walking out of here with $30,000. Action folds to me on the button. I look down at pocket jacks. I make it 150. Neeme folds and actions on the big blind. He 3-bets to 500. Now, I've seen this guy play some very skeptical hands, so my instinct is telling me to 4-bet him. But I go against my better judgment and just call. The flop comes 3-7-10 with 2 diamonds. He bets 600. This is the exact kind of board you want to see when you have pocket jacks, but when you're playing against wild players, it's so hard to know whether or not we're way ahead or way behind. My hand's way too strong to fold right now. I call. With over 2,000 in the middle, the turn comes to 5 of hearts. This is a really good card for us. We raised on the button and just called his 3-bet. So we're gonna have all the straights, all the 2 pairs, and all the sets on this board. He should probably just check it over to us. He doesn't. He overbets the pot for $3,000.
He's going to put max pressure on Sammy the whole way. I like it.
I hate it. I absolutely hate it. On one hand, I feel like he's full of it and just has air war or flush draw at best here. But on the other hand, he could have us dominated. Now, I'm fine with calling the 3,000, but I know he's going to put the pressure on no matter what the river is. So the question is, am I willing to call a potential jam on the river? I just don't know, man. We've been playing great and running amazing up to this point. Do I really want to risk over half my stack with pocket jacks? I fold. As y'all can see, we folded the best hand. He did have a straight and a flush draw, but we were ahead. Even when I folded, I felt like I had the best hand, but I just couldn't get myself to make the call. We lose over $1,000 this hand, but we get one more chance to make that all back before the stream ends. In my very last hand, I look down at ace queen in the hijack. I make it 175. Action folds all the way to Cinnabon in the big blind. He 3-bets to 500. It folds back to me. We definitely could 4-bet here, but the stream is almost over. I still have almost 30K in my stack, and I'm in position. I just call. The flop comes queen high. Cinnabon continues for 350. I don't see much point in raising. I just call. The turn is a jack. This card should be better for our range, but Cinnabon doesn't slow down. He bets $1,000. Now, on one hand, he could have aces or kings and we could be in awful shape, but on the other hand, he might just have ace king or king queen. I think calling here is fine, but if I put in a raise and he just calls, he's gonna check back the river 9 times out of 10, and we can almost guarantee that we make it to showdown. Now, if he re-raises, we can just easily fold. With all this in mind, I raise to 2,500. He basically snap folds, and as y'all can see, he had ace king, so I'd like my raise on the turn. Now, that was the last hand we played. Stay tuned for the outro to see the unreal results.
All right, boys, you know way to come back to the closet to shoot this outro. It's been almost a week, and I think I finally had time to process what happened. Here are the results. Bottom of the game for $2,000, and I cashed out for this. $32,000. I won $30,000 in 5 hours. It's a pretty good hourly rate. Now, if you watch the intro, you know I sold half my action, so I only technically won $15,000, but that's enough to put us over the 10K mark, which means now we shot take. Now, the question is, where do we go to do that? I have 2 ideas. I can go on the Hustler stream, or I can go back on the Lodge stream. Comment below. Should we go on Hustler or should we go on the Lodge? I personally think it'd be dumb not to go back down to the Lodge, but let me know in the comment section. What do y'all want me to do? Now, before I do that, I got some crazy news. The day after I won all that money, I came back and got a text. The guy who staked me texted me this. He said, how about I buy you into the WPT championship, and whatever you win, we split. I'm like, shoot, I mean, that's a tough one. I gotta mop the grass. I gotta sweep the roof. Yeah, I'm in, bro. What? Yes, I'm in. So next Monday in Las Vegas, I'm gonna be playing in the WPT Championship. Now, I haven't really played many tournaments. I got like 18th out of like 25 people in the nightly tournament at a local card house. But if there was ever a time for me to sun run and win it all, it would be right now. So stay tuned for that video. That's gonna be in about a week and a half. But that's all I got for you guys. Until next time, if you haven't already, shut your mouth and stay locked in. Thank you guys for all the support. Peace.